So for those who are not there yesterday, today we are supposed to start on budget presentation. So right there, budget presentation. Budget presentation. Budget presentation. So there's some work I want to, but before that, I want us to discuss 1, 2, napeka zingine hapo nifanyie hiyo. So that we finish that, we move to a certain topic. So this is IPSAS 24. This is IPSAS 24. So when we talk of budget, budget is just a comparison. You compare the estimated amounts versus the actual outcome. Then you report on variances. That is the main aim of a budget. So right there, immediately by saying the standard requires a comparison. The standard requires a comparison of budgeted amounts and the actual amounts, the budgeted amounts and the actual amounts arising from execution of the budget to be included, execution of the budget to be included, Just a minute, I remind you what it was called class. So we say to be included in the financial statements, of entities the financial statement of entities that are required to present their budget information, Full stop. Niache kuwapeleka story mingi. Baadaye hakuna mtu ataletea hii theory ya budget kwa mtihani. Let's go to andika hapo illustration. So I realized from your past paper, there is nothing for budgets. There are no questions for budgets. So I went backwards to check for some, which I want to share. Then I tell you what we are going to do. So in a few, just open the group, ingia hapo ndani. Hamuna swali kwa hiyo past paper za budgets, but they're still there in the syllabus. So just open the group. There are 3 documents I'm sharing. I've shared. No, nataka nikaziraka mnisaidie. So there are three. There is the first one. We open the first one. There's something small I want you to do for me there. That is a question in December 2012. Have you opened? Yes, the first one is December 2012, question 2C. December 2012, question 2C. Then I want to read the question, then tell you what to do. So the following information was compiled by the Ministry of Finance for the fiscal year ended 30th June 2012. So you are seeing there receipts, and you're also seeing what? Payments. So there is budget and there is actual. So fine, required budget outrun for the Ministry of Finance in accordance with International Public Sector Accounting Standards IPSAS 24. So I've given you the answer down there. There is the answer to that. So what I want you to do, because they are short, you copy that question, then give the answer. Then when once you are done, we discuss the answer you have given. There are three questions, but you are doing two. The second one, the second question is May 2014. Are you seeing it? May 2014, question 5C. There is the actual, the original, and the final. Then there is required. Then there is the answer. So the only thing I want you to check for me there in the answer, when you are doing presentation, check that question too keenly. Whoever typed alimes kidogo. Hapo kwa payments, under payments. Under payments, what is the first item under payments? If we are in the same books, defense, yes. So under defense, there is 800, 720, positive 80. It should be negative. Then the rest down there, which is negative 40, make it to be positive, and the positive 40 to be negative. Then, mkishaweka hiyo, I explain. The third one, don't write it. The third one is the same as the first one. We just check, then we close. So do for me the first two, the question and the answers. Then we discuss across, then to maliza hiyo chapter. Do for me that one, Bio. Do for me that one, chap. The first and the second. Third, washana nayo. So online, once you are done, just write that.
Hey. Huh?
Maria, have you done what I left? Someone was asking, why is the class silent? Susan, I'm asking the same. Grace, I have done. So did you get the reason why the class was silent? Those who are questioning? Are you almost? Na kwa nini online wengi wamaliza? So you can finish up. Those who are asking why class is silent online, have you been assisted? Or I tell you why it is silent? So Grace will explain, so there is no problem. We are going to discuss all of them, so don't worry. So that's I have to get. I wanted us to finish this before 7, so that 7 we go to another topic. So I can see majority done. Okay. So from the looks, majority are done, and those who are not yet will be done in the next few as we discuss. So let's go to the first one. The first, I said the first and the second. For For the first one, we have receipts and we have payments. So on the receipts, these are the budgeted receipts. For example, this ministry expected that from the receipts they will receive revenue from taxes. They will receive how much? 180. How much actual did they receive? 165. So that is adverse or favorable. Adverse or negative. So only adverse variance. So that's why, because they got less. To say city council today tax license, today we have to press these people until we get 180. After pressing Nairobians, they only got 165. That is a negative variance to them. Yes, the same donations and grants from IMF and other agencies. For example, IMF, they expected to get a donation of 24. They only got a donation of 18. For example, kama uko na wedding, na kwa hiyo wedding una expect watu watakuletea pesa. So unaweza kuwa na hiyo expectation. Watu watakuletea pesa 124, not only to arrive with how much? 18. That is why sometimes I agree with our friends who come from Central. When a man is going to marry in Central, he's the one to cater for food. Is that true? Yeye ndiye anatoa pesa huko ya chakula. Anyone from Central to confirm? It has been confirmed. That is a very good move, because I remember, and I'm being very honest, there's a day we were expecting visitors. So my sister, then we cooked. I remember after all other things, we had to cook food of close to 70,000. Not only for these people to arrive with 2 cows and 17,000. That is adverse. So, ladies in the room, if you are gone but you have children, let the man cater for food to avoid adverse such kind of issues. And when they come, the rate at which they are eating, inakuumiza. Borrowing, hapa kwa borrowing ndio nakuanga na issue na students for reasons which I don't know. Borrowing, they had plans to borrow how much from local? 120. They only borrowed 84. So is that favorable or adverse? It's adverse. Don't check it in the perspective of borrowing. Some students wanasema si amekopa kidogo hiyo ni mzuri, hapana. They were budgeting to get revenue from borrowing. Wacha nikuja hapo kwa wedding, Tuseme mko na wedding na mnataka, sometimes you can, some people borrow. Let's not run from reality. Sometimes people borrow to finance. So budget yetu your wedding was 700,000. So mkagawana. Ladies, the lady and the other person wamagawana. The lady amesema yeye atapata 200. The guy amesema yeye atapata 300. Tukope ngapi? 200. So from borrowing, instead of borrowing 200, those people you are thinking are your friends who will give you loan, palikupea 15,000. Are you happy that you have borrowed less? You can't finance the what? The budget. So tukienda kwa mtihani, unaweza ona ni rahisi, but I know it's something I've said. Don't treat borrowing in terms of, in quotes, borrowing loan. Treat it in terms of what you are expecting to finance the budget. So this out. Good. Then that is okay. Let's go to payments. So for payments, education, for example, they had planned to pay education 180. They only paid how much? 160. So that's favorable for payments, because they paid less, so there is a saving. But now what I want you to know, if you are, you don't know where God is taking you, maybe some of us are there. You are the budget controller in this case. Now we allocate your funds with the organization of allocate your funds to utilize most of the public sector. Don't return, because when you spend less, the surplus you return to the treasury. So yes, you return the surplus. When you continue to return surplus, that is very dangerous. You're not supposed to have surplus. Surplus means you have not served the public the way it was supposed to be. Utatolewa hapo upelekwe somewhere else. You don't know. Kazi yako. So ukiwa na surplus, pigia simu. Call us. We know what to do. So you are not supposed to have surplus. You are supposed to utilize everything. Mpaka unaita kitu inaitwa AIE stands for Authority to Incur Expenditure. Unaambia now, I have surplus, give you authority, I have some things I need to do what? To settle. So anyway, that is positive in the eyes of the budget because you have saved. But in reality, you are not supposed to have surplus. God is good. I can't. This is. You utilize everything. Health 84, 70, 72. That is how much? 12. That is favorable. Even when people go for fast dates, no ladies more. So chakula ikiletwa for the first date, hawakulangi chakula yote. Lakini the subsequent periods, mpaka yako atamaliza, sio? You utilize everything. So I hope for payments, there is nothing serious there. The one which I want you to master is the example 2. Check the illustration 2. Illustration 2. So in illustration 2, we have 3 columns in the question. We have actual, original, and final. So the question you need to ask me, what is the original and what is final? Casually, people will say that ministries do make budgets. Ministry of a budget. Ministry, they do estimates. Then these estimates are forwarded to Treasury. Treasury will now convert them into what? Budgets. So the Treasury has the authority to alter the budget upwards or downwards. Then they forward to the Parliament for approval and adoption. And the fund allocation from Parliament will go to the ministry based on the budget which was presented by the Treasury. So now the defense will come. For example, in the AIE, you are requesting authority to incur more expenditure than what you are presented. You'll be asked, why are you requesting for this, and hence the budget treats this? Because the funds which will be allocated to the ministry will be based on the final what? Budget. And the final budget is the alteration which has been made by the Treasury. Once you forward, they have the authority to alter or to raise it up. So if you want a supplementary budget or something, there will be those questions. So for defense purposes, you need to tell us this was our original what? Budget, but the alteration was at that stage. So during presentation of the budget outrun or outcome or whichever budget information, you will only compare. You will compare the actual and final. So some students, what they will do, they will present the entire actual, original, final, but when reporting on variance, you only compare actual and final. Or the way you have done it there, you have omitted original in your presentation, but you compare actual and the final budget. So, for example, taxation, they had budgeted that from tax they will receive how much? From tax they will receive 1120. So this one is going the other way around, from this side, this side. So they expected 1120, but the actual, which they received from taxation was 800. So that is a negative variance because they will not be able to cover whatever they expected to cover. Then, so kuna issue pale chini, Grace, the one you are saying, there was a problem down there for payments. For example, defense. Defense, we had budgeted to pay 720. Then they paid 800. Sasa hivi unalipa pesa ngapi ya exam Castle per paper? It is 36, 2400. Eh? So we plan kulipa Castle 2400 single units. Ukifika pale wanakuambia ni 3000. Is that favorable budget on your side? Adverse. So that figure is supposed to be negative, 80. That is what we were saying that time, Chris. So that 80 should be negative. Whoever time track will work Missouri, that should be negative. The same way as the 40. 40, they had planned to pay, 40 relates to what? Housing. So housing, they had planned to pay how much? 360. They ended up paying 320. Ukipewa school fees, uende ulipe Castle exam, school fees ama exam fee, they are 360. Ukifika Castle unaambiwa no, today it is 320. You start crying. Ama unamwambia no, I pay things the way I've been given. Wengine hata watapiga simu, imeongezwa. Imewekwa juu. So that one should be positive. That is a positive variance. So that 40 should not be negative, it should be positive. Then the last 40, they are purposed to pay 760, not only to pay 800. So it went up. So that one should be negative. So in case they want to bring budget in exam, people ndio wataleta. Si hapo tumemalizana? Yes. So any question? I want to go to the next topic now. Our next topic should be on IS number 41. As I know, you check. There is always a reason as to why I want you to check. What does that standard say? It's about what? We are in the digital era. So people are allowed to go to their websites. So Google everything. You Google everything. Reasons why Mwalimu can give people notes to write, then discuss. Then Google can compare if he doesn't want to waste much time. So can you check for me IS number 41? IS 41 is about what? You just type IAS 41, International. Accounting treatment for biological assets, Grace, agriculture. Yes, so that is where we are headed. Agriculture. We want to do agriculture now. I know here there are some people who have never been into the farm. Now, hii topic lazima kila mtu akue. From the history, they say this topic wanafunzi wa urban centers, Moso Nairobi ndio wanakanga. Hawaelewi farming vizuri. Wakipewa kwa mtihani milk, eggs, Moso milk, eggs, na pia grass, they don't know where to classify them. For example, we have utengeneze crop account, livestock and poultry. Unapata wanafunzi wa Nairobi eggs wanaweka kwa livestock, then milk wanaweka kwa poultry. And they say we are going to pass seriously. No, be honest. Just be honest. He has never stepped into a farm in his entire life. What? For you, Madonna, what the agriculture and farming. Good has never gone Bunuru is a pure Nairobian. Una shamba tukipea moja.
وحسيب الآن
At all, for your entire life. Mekanyanga shamba. Sile kukanyaga ati upige picha upost. Ati watu waone ile kulipa. Ate rais. Okay. Nothing is not easy. So coming to Nairobi became a beneficial. So now what we want, what are you talking about? That is a pure lie. Why are you behaving as if you are not Kenyans? Me, I don't know what it means. What does it to tell me what standard says? Now, what we want to check in farming, in fact, let me do this. I want to do the opposite for this topic. Again, as usual, there is one page I'm sharing, but I want us to discuss first. You write then, kuna maswali hapo kwa first paper. So I'm sending, we read. Me, I don't have time to dictate notes. In a class ya computation, so notes munaandika. So let me share. I want us to discuss first. One page is not big. Then we discuss. So secretary, evening. Kuna watu wajaili. Basi maajabu sile sawa. I open, I think I've shared. Joyce Masharia. Mwangi, kwa shamba kweli. Nasi kupita kupiga selfie ati vya maraibu. Serious one. Open those notes. I want us to discuss first, then you put down. It's just one. Answer is yana shamba wanaelewana. So agriculture, yes. So agricultural activities and farming. So we are saying the objective of IS 41 is to establish standards of accounting for agricultural activity. Some key definitions. Number one, biological assets. So in the questions, you will get such. Examiner anakuambia biological assets were estimated at this. So the question is, what are biological assets? In simple words, biological assets, these are living plants and what? Animals. So if you have plants, hapo kwa shamba, and animals, combination, they are called biological assets. Are human beings classified as animals? Sure. So we are biological assets. Okay. They should be valued at fair value and recognized as non-current assets in the statement of what? Financial position. So in the question, you get biological assets, treatment, you recognize them as non-current assets. But of those biological assets, for reasons which I don't know, one of them are bulls. Bulls are normally subjected to depreciation. So if they have bulls, consider to depreciate them, then you recognize bulls in the balance sheet as non-current assets net of depreciation. I don't know why they consider that. They say bulls depreciate while these other cows, the dairy cattle, they appreciate. Yeah? So why do you think bulls must be depreciated? Because they don't give back. They do a lot of work. Yes. So mostly you find them subjected to depreciation. But then let me ask you something. You find in the question examiner there was a cost incurred on Napier grass. Where do you classify Napier grass? Do we classify it as part of crops or as part of livestock? If you have in the farm, you are only having these two. There are livestock and there is crops. Then there is the issue of Napier grass. Where do you take Napier grass? Huh? Do we take it under crops or under livestock? Yes, Napier grass is classified under livestock. Unless in that farm there is no livestock, you classify them as part of crops. You cannot have livestock and crops, then you take those Napier grass for sale. So they will be used to feed the livestock. So in the question, I'm not saying them for fun, they will catch up with you ahead. Alright, we move ahead. Number 2, bear a plant. This is a living plant that is used in production or supply of agricultural produce. And which, not what, and which is expected to bear produce for more than one product. Lazima kuwe natoa mazao mingi. That is called a bearer plant. Agricultural produce and the harvested products from biological assets. So milk is agricultural produce. Cost to sell are the incremental costs directly attributable to disposal of an asset, excluding finance costs and income taxes. So just the cost which you incur to sell the asset, like maybe transport costs and the rest. So umepata hiyo, kama ni seeds you want to sell them, the cost you incur to sell those produce, that is what we call cost to sell. Initial recognition of biological assets. So how do we recognize them in the books? An entity should recognize biological assets or agricultural produce if the following conditions exist. That's a very common question. About a common question. That one there. Conditions under which an entity should recognize biological assets in the financial statements. So let's read the 3. 1, if the entity has control over the biological asset as a result of past event. The keyword is control. Control is attached to title of what? Title of ownership. So you recognize in the books if you have ownership of that asset. For example, in our village, you will tell me about your village. What happens? Like me, I spend 90% of my time in Nairobi. So if I have a cow in the village, it will become very difficult to take care of that cow. So what I can do, I check for a friend in the village. I give the friend that cow to take care. Then when the cow gives birth, the milk belongs to that person, but the calf is mine. Does it happen in other villages? Yes. So that other person should not recognize that in the books because they don't have what? Ownership. They should not value that cow, then they recognize in their financial statements as part of their assets. So control is attached to ownership. So rule 1, for them to recognize in the financial statement, they must have control. Number 2. Number 2 is which one? Yeah? Oh. If it is probable that future economic benefits will flow to the entity, the keyword there is future economic benefits. There is expectation of getting something from the asset. For example, maize. Maize takes how long before from germination back up to harvest? It should be how many? What period? Five to 6 months. 3 months. About 3 weeks. It should be 3 to 4 actually. Wacha wakulima waongee. Oh, there are some. Oh, but ideal 5. Or ideal number of months should take 5 months. Sasa kuna mahindi tulipanda. Sasa ni wakulima. Kuna mahindi tulipanda 1st January 2018. Mpaka leo imetoshana na KICC hiyo mahindi. Na haijaweka anything. Is there a future economic benefits? Is there anything? Ama kuna ng'ombe ilinunuliwa kwenye ukiingia form 1 mpaka saa hii maziwa haijaionekana. There is no expectation. Then that one there is no need of recognizing the fact. That's what the standard expects. So for you to recognize, there must be expectation that you will get some future economic what benefits. Then the last one is which one? If the fair value or cost of the asset can be measured reliably. So fair value, remember, is the market value. You'll be asked, that one brings, there is a December holiday. I was in their country. Then I was passing by somewhere. Then there is this lady. She was harvesting something which resembled groundnuts. So I got to ask her how, this one I've never seen. Akaniambia hii kuna aunti yangu ako South Korea. Aliletea mbegu nikapanda. So nikamuuliza unaweza niuzia how much? Akaniambia mimi sijui inafaa iuzwe aje. So if you don't know the cost, what are you going to recognize in the books? Unaenda kuandika groundnuts, uandike in bracket even if I don't know the value. So for you to recognize in the books, you must be able to estimate the fair value. Yes. Umeshika those 3 points. Hebu sema bila kuangalia. 1. Si lazima uflow hivyo. Future economic benefits. The fair value can be estimated. Ownership or control over the biological asset. I look at you, I know majority of you are doing groundnuts the way it looks. Good. Umeiona groundnuts, najua unakulanga njugu hapa. But umeiona before ikiwa kwa shamba. And your neighbor, other neighbor has asked, umeiona groundnuts? I know. Naona watu wanaangalia chini. Wewe umeiona groundnuts? Hii njugu yenye mnakulanga ikiwa kwa shamba. Ajui kama njugu inakuwa huko anda ama huko kwa mtu anapanda mti anachuna huko juu. The name groundnut, as it says, So this is the ground. This horizontal, this is the ground. So groundnuts inakuwa huko chini. So inaweka unaona ile inaitwa style ama zile. Yes. So hizo zinakuwa huko chini. So when you are harvesting, you just uproot. It's called uprooting, yeah? So you uproot. So Duncan is saying he's welcoming all of you in his farm so that you can see this thing. So you just uproot. So hiyo ni groundnut. So hizo points umeshika. Usikuje kwa mtihani ukianza kusema measurement. All biological assets are initially measured at fair value. However, in the subsequent period, fair value is always the market value. In the subsequent periods, they should be measured at fair value less cost to sell. So when you want to recognize them at the initial stage, market value. After that, market value minus cost you can incur to do what? To sell them. Specific accounting treatment. So hapo itatuguide sana when we are doing computations. So examiner will not tell you what to do. One, there is this issue of shareholders stroke family consumption. Shareholders stroke family consumption arises when the owner of the farm consumes items from the farm or is their family members consume from the farm, or relatives and or friends. So tuseme wewe uko pale kwa shamba, you are the accountant. You are the accountant of that shamba. Then tuseme hiyo shamba ni ya President Uhuru Kenyatta, sasa wewe ni accountant huo kwa shamba. Si anakupigia tu simu. Matiang'i anapita hapo, wacha akule fruits. So you as the accountant, umeona Matiang'i amekaa hapo amekula kwa shamba ya mkubwa. What will you do? Do you say hiyo si shamba ni yake, wacha wakule kabisa? What are you supposed to do without reading? In fact, I was also supposed to give this thought. What should we do? Wamekuja wakakula fruits worth gunia moja. Gunia moja ya fruit imeenda. You as the accountant, what are you supposed to do? Wacha kusoma notes. Let's just discuss literally. What should we do? Unasema hiyo shauri yao, shamba ni yake, akitaka kutuma watu wote wakuje wakule hapo. No? Now recognition in the fine. Hebu toa past paper kidogo. Just get out your past papers. Wacha nitumie hapo. Past paper 2021, 2022. Farming was there the other day. I want you to see what I'm talking about. Get out your past papers. Get out your past papers so that you see what I'm talking about. So this one, the font is too small. Is interfering in the eyes of the nani amepata? Naona swali around 2021, 2020. I want us to read them so that you see what we are saying. Tukikuja kwa hesabu, 2020. Last sitting now for the family. Last sitting. Last sitting. Kwa theory. Nataka kuna hesabu, nataka hesabu, si theory. Now I'm not aware that sitting there was wait a minute. So around 2020, 2021, thereabouts. 2020. We sitting. December 2020. December 2021. Question 5. So go to December 2021. That one is just somewhere here. Not pilot paper, but sitting, yeah? December 2021, question number 5. I want us to check something, then we can move forward. Remember December 2021, there were two papers. There was pilot paper and there was the real sitting. So November 2020, the 2020. The 2020, yeah? Thou shalt not mislead the elders. So November 2020, you can see 2020 question 5. I'm there. My page is page 38. I don't know yours. 37, 38 thereabout. November 2020. Are you there? Hakuna kusoma swali. There's something I want us to check. Direct, I hope majority are there. Check additional information number 2. Angalia to your neighbor. There's something small. During the financial year ended 31st October 2019, the following distributions of farm produce were made. So maize consumed by family members, 1080. Milk delivered to relatives hotel, 4320. So wewe ni mkubwa pale kwa shamba. Na umeambiwa sasa na boss, chukua milk, peleka kwa my uncle, familia yangu wapeleke maize wakule. Na wewe ndio uko pale kwa shamba. How will we deal with this transaction? Atunaweka kwa bili yake. Kwa nini unakulipa? Atakuja kulipa. Yes. You expense Not really. You don't expense. Two accounting treatment. One, work on assumption that they never consume. Let's start from that point. If they never consume, what would have happened? Hebu sema kuna Kiswahili tulikuwa tunasemaka tukiwa primary. Hawangali hiyo tungelefanya nini? Tungeuza. If they could have not consumed, you have done what? Sold. So now because they have consumed, one, bring it as revenue in the books. Because remember, the big boy is watching. You know the big boy, KRA. Tax is based on profit. So if they are consuming, they're just giving people, because they are supposed to be taxed at the end of the day. If they are just consuming, then you are not. Unajua relatives. Wanaweza kuwa na mpango wengine na relatives. Tax wanasema tukipewa relative pia tuna shida nayo. So these people will understand profit. So when they consume, bring it as what? Revenue. Then go and reduce their capital as drawings. So anything consumed by the farm owners, their friends, their whoever, provided the authorization came from the farm owners, you treat as revenue in that revenue account. Come on, the crops, you bring it as revenue in the crop account. Then trace their capital, you treat it as what? Drawings. And drawings reduces what? Capital. Yes. So we wakikula, we relax too. Sema tu umekula hii gunia moja tungeuza 10,000. That 10 you recognize as revenue, then you go and reduce their capital. Wakiletewa? Additional what?
Maybe
their relatives hotel. Yes. The following farm produce were distributed. So they distributed for money. They just made distribution. Family were consumed. Now, okay, in the accounting perspective, anything family, friends, relatives, we normally assume those who are not doing, unless specified otherwise, which in exam they will not specify otherwise, to give you a lot of problems. So let's read what the write-up says. So to go to example now, it will be very easy for you. It represents the value of items consumed by the farm, from the farm, by the farm owners. This amount should be recognized as what? Revenue in the respective revenue account, then recovered from their capital as drawings. Correct. Let's go to the next one. Shareholders stroke family labor. So siku ya harvest or during plowing, the farm owners wamekuja kwa shamba kusaidia wafanyikazi. So wewe unatulia tu. Unasema wacha yeye pia asikie wenye watu wanasikia hapo. As accountant, you check it in the perspective of what? Accounting. Anything happening where kazi yako ni kufikiria nini? Accounts. Anything. But that's something you should know. Anything surrounding you should always think from accounting perspective. Hata saa hii kwa hii kuna kitu kunafaa kuwa umetoka nayo. Instead ya kukaa kwa matatu, si hata matatu ni afadhali. Ni sana 14 seater. Unasikia mtu hapo nyuma mpaka tunamwangalia. Ati huyo bwanangu sijui nani alimroga. You talk of that biological asset, huh? Unasikia? Biological asset. So me, when you tell me biological asset, I will relate very fast to protect the image. So now wamekuja kwa shamba na wakalima. So assuming online, I'm sorry for this because I'm hapa. Assuming wewe umelima kiasi ya hii darasa, unaweza taka kulipa pesa ngapi? Plowing. Plow mahindi kwa hii shamba. So hii ni shamba, hii class. How much can you request to be paid? This size. Ni more. Yes, ni more. Unaweza itisha pesa ngapi ukilipa? Oh, ati hata utamaliza. Alirejesha ngapi? 100. Ndivyo wamesema hii class akilipa 100 yeye ako sawa. How much will you request to plow this size? Lakini sasa huyu wewe unasema 1000. Have you seen the size of the class? Yes, sasa wacha tuende ya Philip ya fadhali 1000, sio? So now you are the owner of the farm. Wao walipwi. I don't wait for examiner to tell you that they will be paid. They are never paid unless examiner says which they cannot say because they want to bring more confusion. So they just tell you there was farm labor which was estimated at this value, full stop. So you need to know how to treat it. So one, what you should bear back in the mind is that they have never done what? Paid. So how do you account for it? So again, you work on what if assumption. What if we could have hired someone from outside? Tungelipa ngapi? Tungelipa 1,000. But now we have not done what? Paying. So if we don't account for it, the final one will be you are incompetent accountant. Because what will happen? The company will pay more tax. Because if you could have hired someone, so you expense come wages, and the wages will have reduced what? Profits. So in the same way, if they do that work, you expense. You treat that one as an expense in that revenue account. Then, because you never paid them, you increase their capital. It is value addition to the farm. So they are adding value to the farm. So the farm labor by the farm owners, you expense, then you boost their capital as part of capital appreciation. So you to pass out. Stronger bell. So in the notes, we have said, so ukienda huko kwa shamba usikuwe na roho mbaya ati. Sasa anakuja kujifanya hapa ni dynasty analima, sio? Pana. Wewe unakaa ukiangalia in the accounting what? Perspective. How are you going to recognize it? So shareholders, family, neighbor, the value of work done by owners should be expensed and adjusted to their capital since it is considered to be value addition to the farm, not that farm or Mendeka, it should be farm of A. Next, workers' consumption and payment in what? Kind. Workers, washamba wamekula. Especially for those of you who are not aware, let me make you aware. These groundnuts, hey, during harvesting, if you are not keen, you can harvest 0. Yes, groundnuts are globally approved to be highly nutritious when they have just been harvested. Ikiwa mbichi, wacha hii mnakulanga hapa ni page ya 5 kwa. Imeshawekwa mafuta. It is highly nutritious kama ikiwa mbichi. Nani amekula njugu mbichi? Well, see the inakoka tamu. And they are accompaniment. Sameleto. The escort ya hiyo njugu ikiwa hivyo inakuanga maji. So provided water is there. True false. Provided water is there. Ukikula wanakula 3 maji. Unashiba the whole day. Wanasema tumbo baadaye. Hiyo tunaenda kwa daktari. Tunataka daktari ya survive. So if you are not keen with these people, watakula yote from the garden. Yes. You want a ground that imefika hapa mpaka Nairobi mnaikula. Ime survive so many attacks from the harvesters all the way. So these people have been consuming. Now we will observe. Estimate how much they have consumed. Then now we focus on the accounting part. So deduct from the salary. Then you treat it as what? Revenue. You bring it as revenue, then reduce their salaries. Because what if they never consume? So tungeuza. Yes, tungeuza. So treat as revenue, then reduce their salaries. So when the problem comes, terrible. Ile terrible. walikuwa na consume as a group. Unajua juu ndio kule na kwanga na where I come the SH and CS is very difficult. Ni shell ama ni cell. Hiyo ya ground zinakwanga ni shell. Hiyo shell lazima utoboe ndio ukule. So during harvesting wao wamesikizana kwa hiyo group. Kuna mtu anatoboa akirushia wengine. You can fail to. So wamekula as a group. But now exam hakuna kitu kama hiyo. Exam inakuwa to they consume this part full stop. But now in reality wame consume as a group. Unajua mnaona kama ni jokes. Tomorrow is Saturday. I'm going for farm accounting in Nanyuki the whole night and I'll be having this trouble. Mama nipige picha ndio watupie. So wamekula as a group. How do you treat? This is the reality. You unataka kukata watu mshahara. Will you just take, we have estimated you imepotea 10,000 divided by 5 workers. That's what we will do. Msiseme ni mimi because I've come across the argument which I heard from some of the workers. They were arguing that those slender people who are slim by nature in the farm and they consume a lot than people who are fat. That's the argument. Yes, at yao kwanza hao ndio wakate kwanza the highest portion. So mseme mwalimu hapo umeongea baya. No, this is what I've heard them saying that wale watu slender kwanza wenye wana tumbo kabisa, those ones start with those ones first. Ati wadhani hao. So in reality what you do, what you are saying, take aggregate, divide by the numbers, because kwa nini you have to report? You can divide them. That's not bad. So in accounting, you just get it, revenue, wages, reduce their wages. Next, after we have read that, Duncan, I hope unajua Duncan uko online. I hope umetuambia uko na shamba. Yuko hujaenda kwa kioo kujiangalia kama unaweza consume yote ama kidogo. So workers consumption, and payments in kind. Payments in kind is whereby you give them farm produce instead of paying them what? Cash. Mtu anasema instead ya kunipatia pesa, mimi pesa inanishinda. Siku na watu wanashindwa kubeba pesa. Yes. You're wondering. Do you know carrying money is not easy? Ukibeba sahi ubebe hapa 2 million. Do you know kutoka hapa mpaka GPO number 1 unaona kila mtu anaona. Mpaka mtu akitembea unasimama picha kwanza. So it is not easy. So there are people they don't want to carry money. They say instead of money, mimi nipatie matunda gunia moja tutaona. So if the examiner tells you they were paid, payments in kind amounted to 2,000, then the same way, treat it as revenue, then reduce from their what? Salaries. Sour. Then we have what is called inter-economic transfers. So inter-economic transfers, you find that, for example, we have crops and livestock. Then from livestock, what are the byproducts we can get from livestock to help us in crops? Manure. So you find that you're going to manure for livestock. What do? You transfer from livestock to crops. You don't take it for granted. Unahesabu. Hiyo manure tumetoa hapo. Ni wheelbarrow ngapi? Tumetoa wheelbarrow kama 5. What if livestock was not here? So tungeuzia mtu mwingine? Yes. So the transferring department, you recognize in that account as what? Revenue. Then the receiving, you treat as what? Expenses. Evil. So revenue to the transferring, the receiving end treats what? Expense. That is what we call inter-economic transfers. So, hakuna kitu hapo serious. Examiner will tell you. For example, in the question you are checking, hebu turushe macho kidogo. note, either note 4 or 5 or 3. The question we are checking, which I believe will be our first illustration. Manure valued at 600 was removed from the cow shed and used in the maize plantation. So how will you account for that? So to the livestock, you recognize what? Revenue. To the maize, which is in the crops, you recognize what? Expense. So where was you guys si shamba ni moja? You have to account for such transfers. So that is all. Another problem which was identified by the city, urban students, the difference between manure and fertilizers. Nimo? You don't differentiate the two. Fertilizer is classified to crop account. Manure is livestock. Fertilizer ni inauzwa hapa kwa agro. Yes. So fertilizer is to crops. Why? You doesn't hapa. Zipapo ukitupa macho kwa hiyo swali tunaona fertilizers and you see manure. So manure is to livestock while fertilizer is to crops. So can you put down those notes? I don't see anything I've not shared with you. Unless itakuja kwa computation, which I don't think. So can you put down the notes? Can you finish and do a question really? It's 15 minutes to class M. Lakini muandike nikiwa hapa kwanza. Hiyo 15 minutes ikiisha kama mjamaliza ndio naenda. Because nikijaribu kutoka hivi. Watu wanasema hiyo tunaandika kesho. Then the following day at what did you leave? So can you put them down so that tomorrow when we come we swallow straight away. So start. Now because I don't have much control over online, you can switch off and write. Provided application nikikuja ni hesabu. Lakini because siji naona hapa. Si mlifanyia juzi alafu hapo niambia kulikuwa kuna chekelea nimesahau. Think I've forgotten. So online you are at liberty. Online unaweza fikiria ume control kumbe amekufungulia hiyo TV na ameenda kisha. So online you can just switch, make sure you write, but you can exercise self discipline. The way I know you people, you write so that tomorrow ni hesabu. Have them down because hapo pia kuna maswali watakuuliza kwa theory. Ndio kwa maisha yako yote ya accounting huko ifikirie utakutana na andika. You can push past them now. Hiyo ni practical. Pita tu mtihani vizuri. Oh wait, see ndio hiyo last semester umeleta theory ya agriculture. Though I'll give you the solution to that tomorrow. That one is also another indication that that topic can be examined. When they want to bring a topic in computation, hiyo setting nyingine wanawapea indication na theory. Wanaambia mwalimu prepare them for computation. So we angalie na macho ile. Whichever, hata kama ni 8, kwa bora umeiangalia. So just proceed. We meet in tomorrow's class. God willing, we'll do at least 2 questions to end up that topic. Oh yeah, you remind me, sawa. So have a good night. Tupatane kesho.